guys, welcome back to my Last of Us HBO Max season review. Today we are on episode 6, which is called Kin. Now, like I always do, guys, but I'll give you guys, anyone who new is watching this, I always just do the spoilers for this episode and the game spoilers for this episode. Not going to talk about anything else beyond this episode and what happens in this episode with the show and the game. So they give us a little flashback with the horrific events that happened with Henry and Sam, and then we flash forward 3 months later, and we stumble upon a little cabin with 2 people living in it, just kind of making their way, surviving, hunting, fishing, and Ellie and Joel are there, and this couple, which I recognize Graham Greene, who plays Marlon. Like, he's been in a bunch of stuff. You guys probably know him. Like, the most recent thing I can think of is Wind River. He's in Wind River. He's one of the Native American sheriffs out there, and they even say Wind River in this thing. And his wife, Elaine Miles. This show is such a perfect example of like the actor phrase, like, there are no small parts. This is this show like to a T, because Melanie Lynskey in an episode and a half, 2 episodes, making a huge part. Lamar Johnson, who plays Henry, and the young actor who plays Sam, I'm not sure what his name is, like, not a small part. The actress who plays Tess, like, not a small part. Like, everybody's coming in for 1 or 2 episodes, or maybe even 1 or 2 scenes, and just absolutely killing it. But the main piece of information is that Joel and Ellie are lost, and this couple points them to the river. But they say, be careful, because this river is the river of death. No one ever comes back from it. We see bodies of infected, bodies of non-infected, kind of littered around there, and it's just not a good place. So, we're thinking that it's like Kansas City all over again, like, these raider camps, like people just taking what they need and not leaving any survivors behind. So Joel and Ellie head out there. Joel is teaching Ellie how to shoot, and we finally get to the river. They cross it, and the night before they cross it, you see Joel kind of talking in his sleep, and when they leave the cabin, he has like what seems to be, I couldn't tell if it's a panic attack or just pure exhaustion. Like, we're not really getting much information about it. He talks a little about it later, and I'll get there when I get there, but I couldn't tell if it was like a panic attack or just like him being, like he says, like, oh, just like, the mountain air is like kind of, thin air, like weakening his lungs. Like, I couldn't tell what that was, and I want to ask you guys what it is, because he has another one later, and again, like, he has a conversation saying that he's old and, not as strong as he used to be, but like, these seem like panic attacks. Like, this seems like almost PTSD type stuff of like everything that he's gone through, but I could be wrong. I could be reading that completely wrong. So turns out that there are people at this river, and they examine them with a dog, and the dog can smell infected, and it smells Joel, and then it smells Ellie, and Joel's, starting to have like a little attack again, and he doesn't do anything, but luckily he doesn't smell anything on Ellie. He starts licking Ellie's face, so it's a very nice guard dog if you're not infected. And turns out they get taken to this town, full, like, there's a wall, there's a gate, there's this full town with electricity, with, creature comforts, all this stuff. And guess who's there? It's his brother Tommy. He found him. It's all good news. So they get cleaned up, they get showered up, they get changed. And Joel, this is the scene I was waiting for. I think I literally made a TikTok about it. Cat? Talking? I literally made a TikTok about it with like just the first line of Ellie saying, "What are you so scared of?" And I knew once we got to the town that we were going to have this scene, because this is the scene in the game. This is where Joel and Ellie like finally confront each other about everything they've been hiding. And we're not quite there yet, but the scene with Tommy and Joel where you know, they go off and talk, and like it happens a little bit faster in the game, where like as soon as they get to the dam and to the town, like you go on like a little mission to like, you know, restart the power and stuff like that, and there's like a raider attack. It's a video game thing. Like they every set piece in the video game, you get a little bit of action, and then that's fine. But there's nothing like that in this, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But the conversation that happens between Joel and Tommy, it happens much faster, where he's like, oh, like, you know, Tess told me to do this, but I need you to do it. And I think I like I'm trying not to be like, oh, the game was better. I don't think the game is better or worse at all. It's just what you prefer. And maybe I've probably got a little bit of bias towards the game because I've played it 3 times. I love it to death. Some of my favorite acting and story beats happen in this game. But I think it's like you get a little bit more of their like contention in the game of like why Tommy doesn't talk to Joel anymore. Now in the show, he, you know, used to radio him. Sorry, my cat is going crazy on my bed right now. Major case of the zooms. Joel's like still like keeping in touch with Tommy, even if it's just like radio, like, hey, are you okay? You okay? Good. Okay, good. And then the whole reason he goes on this thing is because he stops hearing from Tommy. In the game, he hasn't seen or talked to him in like 5 years, maybe more. I can't remember how long it had been since he had talked to Tommy. Like, he's almost completely estranged from him. And you get that more in the game, where like they mention it last episode, or the episode 4, where Joel was like, yeah, I used to be on the other side of these raids. I've killed innocent people before. And Joel, like, him and Ellie kind of have a little bit of that talk, but not much of it. And this is kind of when you get more of that information. And I feel like Tommy really holds that against Joel more in the game, where he's like, we survived because of me. And he's like, it wasn't worth it. Like, I'd rather have not be here than do the things that we did to make it through. And I don't know, I felt that contention more. And maybe it's because, and you know, it's a change where they talk more in the show, so they're not gonna be as, you know, adversarial in the show as they are in the game, because they were keeping in contact. They weren't completely estranged. They were for like the past few months, because we learned that Tommy is now dating or married. I don't know if they said dating or married, but he's partnered with Sarah, and she's pregnant. And Sarah's just like, you know what? We're gonna cut to, oh no, sorry, Maria. I'm reading Sarah, definitely not Sarah. That's his daughter. Sorry, I was reading the cast list wrong. I'm very bad with names. But and she's not a fan of Joel. Like, Tommy's told her stories about what him and Joel did to get to this point, because he was part of the Fireflies. Then he broke off from them. Then he found this community, and Maria welcomed him in, but was just like, you know what? We're gonna leave your past with a past. Like, just let it go. And I like that. Gabriel Luna does play this scene really well, and I think you buy that they are brothers. But it's just like, it's that attachment to the game that I have that I'm like, oh man, like, I wanted, you know, because like they get into an argument in the game, and Joel pushes Tommy, and he's like, we are not in Texas anymore. You push me again, you're gonna regret it. Because like, I think in the game, Maria is more of like in the show, she's on the, you know, the government or the council or whatever they're calling it. And then, you know, obviously Tommy would make him a bigger figure. So like in the game, that's conveyed more, where it's like, you don't push me. I lead this commune. Like, I'm not your little brother here. I'm the boss, and you're gonna treat me like the boss. And I like that moment a little bit too. But I do love that, just like, we've been roughing it this entire time. Like, Joel and Ellie are like eating beef jerky if they're lucky. You know, they steal a rabbit from that couple's house just to make it. And now they're like in this town with of electricity, and there's a movie night going on, and people are talking about boys and, you know, giggling and having fun and having drinks and putting up Christmas trees, for God's sake. Like, everything is such the polar opposite of what Joel and Ellie have been through, and I like them showing that. And so this is when we get to the scene, is that they're at the movie night. Joel is trying to fix his boots, basically, because they're falling apart. And he tells Tommy, he's like, you need to take her. She's immune. You need to go find the fireflies. What's it, babies? You need to go find the fireflies. I'm old. I don't have it anymore. And this is where the Pedro Pascal is just like flexing his acting muscles here. And this is where, like, I'm still confused of, like, is he having panic attacks? Does he just think he's, like, too old? He doesn't have it anymore? I don't know. I'm not sure. And so it's up for interpretation, and maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe it's not up for interpretation. Maybe you guys know exactly what it is. But I like this added thing, and I was going back and forth about it, because in the game, what I was saying is that, like, yeah, they have that conversation, but, like, right when we get to the commune, Joel's like, you got to take her. I'm going back home. Like, this is my end. Like, that was the thing, is that in the game, this was always supposed to be Joel's last stop, even without Tess. He was supposed to get her to Tommy. Tommy was supposed to get her to the fireflies. And I like that in the game, where just like, okay, Tommy, you're going to take her. But then I also like this in the show, where he's like, okay, we're just going to stay the night. And then we'll be out of our hair. And then he says, you know what? Like, I just don't think I have it anymore. I just don't think I have it anymore. And she's important to the world, not to me, to the world. Like, he's still holding on to that. And you need to take her because she's immune. There could be a cure for this. And I like their conversation because Pedro Pascal acts it so well, and that leads to the scene. And the scene that I was talking about, and that like any person that played the game and knows this scene was looking forward to, was this scene. And it's where Ellie overhears this conversation between Tommy and Joel, and it's so masterfully done between Bella and Pedro. And it's different. It's not as heightened. It's much more like lowered. But, you know, just like, what are you afraid of? I'm not Sarah. And I like, it's in the same way that it's not a critique, but I just like the game, where, you know, when she says like, oh, we're not even gonna help that guy, and he's like, he ain't even hurt. It's the same way where Ellie says, I'm not Sarah, and he's like, Ellie, you are treading on some mighty thin ice. And I just like that line, read by Troy Baker, and so I was hoping to hear that. But like, they literally go almost word for word from the game in this scene. So like, again, not a critique, just like, I really like that line from the game. But God, do they just crush it in this scene. Like I said, I literally made a TikTok being like, don't watch this scene if you haven't played the game, because this is going to blow you away. This scene is going to break your heart and like just crush you. And it did. Like him saying like, you're right, you're not my daughter, and I'm sure as hell ain't your dad, and we are going our separate ways. Like, that line, the first time I played the game, just devastated me. It absolutely crushed me, and they both killed it in this scene. They're so good. And I like, you know, in the video game, Ellie runs off, you have to deal with some raiders, and then when they ride back to the thing, Joel just like, he's like, all right, you're gonna come with me. And, you know, that's fine. It works in the game. It works plenty in the game. But I do like, you know, the next morning they wake up. Because I remember even in the game, like, they get to the dam, they have to turn the power back on, they have to shoot raiders, Ellie runs off, because she hears that Joel's gonna, like, you know, pawn her off to Tommy. You have to fight more raiders after you chase down Ellie. You have this scene. And then they get back to the dam and they're like, okay, we're gonna head out. I'm like, you guys didn't even, like, spend the night? Like, have a good night's sleep and a full meal? And I know it's a video game, but like that always bugged me, where it's like, just guys, just relax for one night. You're gonna go off together, just relax for one night. And I'm glad, like, in the show, they do get to relax for one night. They do get the shower. Ellie gets a haircut, and I love her conversation with Maria, where she's like, you better watch out for Joel. He's like, what are you talking about? Joel and Tommy did the exact same thing. You better watch out for Tommy, I guess. Bella's, I feel like the longer, you know, I don't know how they shot this show, but like, I feel like they shot this like later on, because this feels like the most Ellie Bella has ever been. And she was just like quipping, she was snapping, like the way she was with Bill in the video game is how Bella was with Maria in this one, and I absolutely loved it. But I love them showing up in the morning, like, and Joel's waiting with Shimmer, waiting with them, and he's like, you know what, I'll take her, like, and he doesn't say like, oh, I've always loved you, like, you know, you are important to me. It's the little Joelisms, and we're gonna get more and more as we go along, of like showing how he cares, and I love it. It was so well done. And Gabriel, like, again, you know, Gabriel Luna again, you know, the prologue of episode 1 and this part right here, I don't know if we're gonna see Tommy again, but if we don't, another massively small part that isn't a small part at all. And this is where I thought we were gonna end, but we kept going, and we make it all the way to Colorado University, and the Fireflies aren't there. They seem to have moved out. We get the monkeys, and then we get Joel getting injured by raiders. And this is like, those guys are straight out of the video game, and I loved it. Them walking around with like hoodies on and baseball bats, like these raggedy clothes. I'm like, this is so out of the game. Like, and it just looks so random. Just 4 dudes walking into the university, just like, yeah, we're gonna loot some, you know, alcohol bottles, some tissues, some half scissors, some tiny little gun parts. Like, if you played the video game, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and if you don't, you have no idea what I'm talking about, and I love it. But I do love this change, because in the game, you're fighting off these raiders, and the last guy knocks you off the balcony, and you fall from the 2nd floor to the 1st floor, and you land on a piece of rebar that goes through, like, exactly where Joel gets stabbed in the show, but it goes through you, and then you have to, like, Ellie has to, like, pull you out, and then right off. I'm like, I love this game, but I'm sorry, Joel is dead. In the post-apocalypse, you get stabbed with a rusty rebar through and through, you're dead. You're absolutely dead. Like, this is the only, like, actual criticism of the game I have, is like, that is too severe of an injury. So I do like the change where the guy, like, swings a wooden bat, it breaks off in the tree behind Joel, and then he gets stabbed with it, not even realizing it. And then they ride off. Joel passes out from blood loss, and that's where the show ends. Is Ellie like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. You have to help me. You have to help me. And I love that, because that's where the chapter ends in the video game too. Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. And that scene in the game hits so hard. And again, like, I don't know how they shot the show. I know, like, things are very rarely shot in sequential order, but I think they're shot in episode order with TV. I could be completely wrong, but just Bella just seems to be getting more and more comfortable every single week, and she just crushes this entire episode. She's so good this entire episode. And we're already at 20 minutes, guys, because this was the episode I was waiting for. Like I said, this was the scene I was waiting for. This is a scene that probably anybody that plays the video game has been waiting for. And I'm curious because, you know, like, my friends Bailey and Emma have been playing through the game after the show, so I'm really curious of, like, how they're gonna react to that scene, if they think it's better, or, you know, worse, or just as good. I'm really curious. Like, and if you guys haven't seen the scene, go watch the video game scene. Just go type that in on YouTube and let me know what you think. Let me know if you prefer Pedro and Bella, or if you prefer Troy and Ashley, because I think they're both great. I think I have a little predilection for the game, but I think it's just going to be of what you watch first is what you're gonna prefer, and that's just human nature. But thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait for next episode. I'm so excited of what's to come. I guess we're getting 10 episodes. I thought IMDb originally said 9, but now I'm seeing 10. So these next 4 episodes are going to be... Woo! I can't wait. I just can't wait. I don't want to give any spoilers at all, but I just can't wait, and you guys are going to love them. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great... Didn't mean to push that yet, but thank you to all my patrons that watched this early, and if you guys are seeing this probably Tuesday on YouTube, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.